Hello and welcome to the One Marketing Thing podcast. Today's guest is Joya Scarlata, and we're going to be talking about challenging misconceptions, the role of AI in marketing. Hello, everyone. I'm Antoinette Blake, your host, and you're watching the One Marketing Thing podcast. Now, we started this podcast for digital marketers so that we could provide them with expert advice from industry veterans with decades of experience. Now, I'm saying decades, and I'm looking at my guest, Joya, and she's been around, but not decades. Joya Scarlata, you are one of those experts, one of those veterans. And we're going to talk about challenging misconceptions, the role of AI marketing, which is top on everyone's mind. But before we get into that, can you tell the listeners and the viewers a little bit more about yourself and that of your journey?
Sure. Well, firstly, thank you for having me here. It's an honor. So I am currently the director of digital marketing at a company called Intra IT, which is a B2B IT service firm, and we're based out of San Jose, California. And I've been with Intra IT and in the marketing field for quite some time now, actually a little over 10 years. And I always tell myself that I feel fortunate just being, as a marketer in the tech industry, I feel fortunate being, it's like the best of both worlds. As a marketer, I get to be creative on a daily basis. And then being in the tech industry, you're being exposed to really fascinating trends and you're in an environment that constantly changes. Aside from my full-time job, I speak and I write about AI in marketing, particularly about the trends that's changing our field, where we're heading now, and how AI as a whole is making an impact.
Wow. And you know what? AI is making an impact. And that's why we have you here today to, just talk about a little bit of those misconceptions because a lot of people are thinking iRobot, the Terminator, all these things that's going to happen. So, you're the expert. We got these digital marketers wanting to know. Tell us, what is the role of AI in marketing and how, break down some of those misconceptions for us.
So I before I jump into some of the misconceptions, I would say that when you look at AI in marketing, businesses are looking, or especially marketers are looking at it as an increasingly important tool, especially to automate and to really optimize different marketing processes. And I've started to have an interest in AI and marketing since 2000. And I would say just even in the past few years, AI has really has evolved in marketing, from chatbots to look at large language models such as ChatGPT. Now, when you look at misconceptions, I would say that one of the most common misconceptions is that there's this fear, and I'm not saying it's it's definitely a legitimate fear that AI tools will completely replace human marketers. And I think, like I said, I think this is the most common misconception. Yes, AI is definitely becoming an increasingly important tool for marketers, but I don't think that is a complete replacement for the creativity and the strategic thinking that marketers bring to the table. I do think that AI definitely should not be viewed as a substitute, but as a complement to marketers. And there are tools out there, for example, that can automate tasks, that can really provide valuable insights into our audience that maybe a marketer on our own cannot, provide on her own.
And I hear a lot of chatter, but a lot of people fear that it's going to replace, a lot of the marketers. But as you stated, we still there's that human element that has to be involved, and I guess we can use it as a partnership, like learning.
Yes, I agree. And I would be lying if I say that no job is going to be completely affected by AI. I mean, I think it is a legitimate concern. And you do hear people say that um I think it's time that marketers, or there's that term that, a marketer that does not use AI may perhaps be replaced by a marketer who does know how to use it. So I think that is the trend that we're seeing. And yes, I think, and this is common across industries, I think there is that chance, and we're probably seeing it now, that repetitive tasks that can be automated will probably be increasingly replaced by AI tools.
And you being in the game in the marketing field for 10 plus years, you've seen other, trends and, things that have happened, and it didn't wipe out, digital marketers. So,
Right.
like you said, this should be a tool to be added to your marketing toolkit, and not to, fear that it's going to replace you.
Absolutely. And I think tools like ChatGPT, they are fascinating. They are very interesting to use. And I think that it's an exciting time for marketers to experiment and to play around with these tools. But having said that, at least for me, I wouldn't completely rely on 100% ChatGPT to say lay out my marketing strategy. It definitely, these type of tools definitely depend on the inputs that I provide. And again, it doesn't replace the, say, creativity that I or my team members can bring to the table.
Because regardless of what, new things pop up, you still have to interact, you know.
Yes.
I say H to H, human to human. We still have to connect in that way. And we cannot simply rely on, artificial intelligence or anything else. That is wonderful. So are there, like you said, we should not fear it. We should
Yes.
embrace it and use it. Is there any other, tips that you can share with digital marketers when they're first starting out with the AI?
Yeah, I think another misconception is that this thought that it's an one AI is um a one size fits all solution. Um, I I think there's a lot of questions. For example, if a business is starting out and considering AI, um, you cannot just say, okay, I'm going to implement AI for my entire organization and let's see how it goes from there. I think it's really important to identify a specific need that you're trying to look at, and then um, try to measure too um, what the metrics. I think it's really important to look at metrics. What exactly are you trying to use this AI tool for? So for example, if you're trying to improve, this is just a very general example, but if you're trying to improve customer service in an organization and maybe you don't have the budget, you may just look at a very simple chat bot to say, if you're opening a website, you have a chat bot that interacts with the audience or the consumer, that can or answer specific questions and
Mhm.
whatnot. So, like I said, it's definitely not a one size fits all. There's definitely some strategy and some thought that needs to be put into it. And kind of tied into that, I know there is also, I think, this misconception that AI is very expensive, that, maybe perhaps small businesses cannot use it. And I think, again, we're fortunate that there's so many tools out there that cater to different budgets, to different size organizations across the board. So again, going back to a simple chat bot, if a small organization wants to try it out, then, there are definitely tools out there that can perhaps help them with that.
Great. And I think maybe another misconception where, like you said, you can't just throw the spaghetti on the wall and hope it sticks. You have to be active in making sure that it's meeting your needs and that and those of your clients.
Exactly. And AI, there are, AI tools are also about ingesting large volumes of data and making sense of it,
Mm,
identifying patterns, identifying trends. So if you don't have a person or a team that can make sense of the data of the output, then it doesn't really help the organization or your department or your team. So it's important to have that training, to have that education, to again make sense of what you're actually looking at and how you can use it to advance your marketing strategy.
awesome, awesome. Joy, you have provided some great, information about AI, which is still relatively new, probably for you, not so much, but it's great to have someone like you, a veteran. I'm going to call you a veteran, even though, you still look young enough to not be a veteran. But, I'm so glad that you gave us some time. I mean, is there anything else you'd like to leave with us before I let you get back to your busy schedule?
Oh no, well, thank you for having me. I always say I think this is a definitely an exciting space to look out for AI in marketing. I would say that it's one of the areas I think for marketers to really look out for is the area of governance, ethics.
Mm.
How do we ethically, especially with tools like ChatGPT, I think, it's time for organizations to perhaps look at, how do we ethically use these tools? So I think that's going to be
There's a lot
coming.
of back chatter about this chat GPT and those that are feeding the information and even governance, the bias, all these things come into play. And it could be, great or not so great.
Exactly, exactly. So I think that is something that organizations will have to keep in mind when they look at implementing AI in their strategy.
And one thing I want to say is it's great that the younger generation, the younger digital marketers are going in with a very diverse and inclusive attitude and mentality versus us older folks who may have come in with blinders on. So this is great. I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
I've dabbled a bit. I'm still learning, but Joya, I mean, you've given us so much information. How do people get a hold of you? Well, you know what? I'm going to ask people to leave us an email because if they want to get a hold of us or if they have questions for you, send an email to editor@passionatemarketers.com. And so, I'm so glad and I hope that we can have you back on as we
Absolutely.
progress so I can see, I want, I'm curious and we're all curious as digital marketers just to see how we can make this work for everyone. We want it to be for everyone, for, big business, small businesses, all types of businesses. So, Joya, thank you so very much for being a guest here on the One a Marketing Thing podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
And we also want to thank our sponsor, Propel. This is a unique review automation and management platform. Now, Propel is the #1 tool that helps small businesses convert website traffic into paying customers. Thank you.